Thanks to Trade Coffee for sponsoring this video.
Maybe we can still heal you.
That's the moment that created a new universe.
Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Erik. In the final battle in 2018's Black Panther, T'Challa was forced to kill Killmonger. Now, moments before Erik's death, T'Challa offered to heal his cousin, but Killmonger refused. He didn't want his life saved, only to live the rest of it caged in a cell.
Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships, because they knew death was better than bondage.
And this was Killmonger's end. But the multiverse is vast and filled with infinite possibilities, and there is an Earth where T'Challa made a different decision where he saved Killmonger. If Killmonger survives, then the most interesting story is in the aftermath of the snap, a dark time where half of all life is gone, including T'Challa and Shuri, a time where Killmonger can either become Wakanda's new protector or the most deadly villain on the planet. Would Killmonger join the fight against Thanos? Could Killmonger be redeemed? How would he deal with Namor and the war with Talokan?
What's up?
So let's ask the question, what if Killmonger survived? So let's begin at the moment Killmonger removes the spear from his body. While Killmonger is still bleeding to death, T'Challa decides to save his cousin. He believes that letting his cousin die here will be repeating history. His own father's decision to kill his brother turned Erik into Killmonger. And now T'Challa feels obligated to be better than his father and give Erik a second chance. T'Challa calls Shuri and urges her to help him save their cousin's life. At first, Shuri refuses, arguing that they should let him die after all that Killmonger did and all the people he killed. But T'Challa says that Erik is their family and he deserves a second chance.
I cannot just let him die, knowing we can save him.
For too long, they closed their hearts to the suffering of those outside of Wakanda, and if they let Erik die now, they only prove that he was right. They must aspire to be better. Reluctantly, Shuri begins this operation. Killmonger is mortally wounded, but the heart-shaped herb's superhuman effects keep him alive. And with Wakanda's miracle tech and Shuri's skills, his life is saved.
He's alive!
T'Challa isn't naive. He knows what Killmonger is and that it'll be a long and hard road to rehabilitate him. Since he cannot trust him, he puts Killmonger in a fancy prison that overlooks Wakanda's sunsets. But when Killmonger finally wakes up, he sees the room as nothing more than a cell. To Killmonger's surprise, the heart-shaped herb effects still run through his veins. T'Challa explains that the herb's power is the only thing that keeps Killmonger alive, and this is why he did not remove it from his body. Over the next 2 years, T'Challa visits him almost every day, giving Killmonger something he lost when he was a boy: love and kinship.
The world took everything away from me. Everything I ever loved.
Killmonger won't change that easily, though. He sees T'Challa's good intentions as weakness, so he starts using that, believing that it's the only way for T'Challa to let him out. And once he's free, he can finish what he started. But before he gets a chance, Thanos happens. When the Avengers call for Wakanda to help against Thanos, T'Challa considers letting Erik join the army, but T'Challa decides that there's too much at stake and he simply doesn't trust Killmonger yet. And side note, when planning this what if, we wanted Killmonger to fight Thanos and even give him a redemption story, but going in that direction feels too predictable and it'll only cheapen this story, so we went the other way.
Wow, person, that was a keen observation. You seem incredibly focused and happy today.
Well, thanks, Doug. I feel incredibly focused and happy today. Sometimes all you need is a perfect cup of coffee. Ah, damn good coffee.
I know, it's great, right?
Another!
Yeah, but there's so many coffees out there, I don't even know how you would pick the right one.
Well, buddy, I'm no coffee expert, and that's why I like Trade, the sponsor of this video. Trade is a coffee subscription service that matches you with your own personal coffee selection by giving you personalized recommendations based on your own preferences. These days, the grocery store selection, well, it's not what it used to be. You'll find usually 5 versions of the same brand, but Trade connects you with America's best local roasters that you can't find in most groceries. Trust me, local. Way better. Trade makes it easy for you to discover and try new coffees based on your preferences. Then your coffee is roasted and shipped within 24 hours of your order, so you know it's going to be fresh.
From farm to cup.
That's right, buddy. So, for instance, they paired me with dark coffees that go well with milk. This one is Diamond Dark Roast from Sterling Coffee. Now, this rich, bold blend uses top quality beans from Central and South America, and it tastes like cedar smoke and caramel. It's the kind of coffee that I would have never tried on my own, but Trade is introducing me to all these roasts that I love. Trade also makes for a terrific present for the holiday season. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And right now, Trade is offering our viewers a total of $30 off a subscription and access to limited time holiday specials at drinktrade.com/ScreenCrush. That's drinktrade.com/ScreenCrush for $30 off.
Clark, that's the gift that keeps on giving the whole year.
And so, as the battle for Wakanda begins, Killmonger watches it all from his cell, witnessing everything. Killmonger is actually rooting for Earth's forces, but only because he wants to use such an army to achieve his own goals. But just as it looks like the day is won, the snap happens. Killmonger stands at his window watching in disbelief as the people start turning to dust on the battlefield. In the days that follow, Wakanda is in shambles. Its people lost its king and its princess. Ramonda now rules as queen, but many doubt her claims, seeing her as unworthy since she never competed in ritual combat. This happens only because Wakanda has an alternative. They know that Killmonger is alive. After the snap, Killmonger convinced his guards to get his message to Wakanda. Now, while the guards are loyal to the throne, the snap changes everything. And Killmonger is very charismatic and manipulative. He says the right combination of words that plant the seed of doubt in even the most loyal Wakandans. Killmonger claims that Wakanda is weak now. Too many are gone because of Thanos. By losing their king, they also lost their protector. After Thanos, the world will be in chaos. Governments will be desperate, and they will justify wars just to protect themselves. The world will come for Wakanda's vibranium, and they will enslave this nation. This is why Wakanda needs a strong leader. He is still a superhuman with the heart-shaped herb's power. He also reminds the people that he beat T'Challa in the ritual combat fair and square, making him the rightful ruler of Wakanda.
He got it on a technicality.
Now these words lead to a conflict. Wakabi is freed from his prison and he starts an uprising, freeing Killmonger. Wakabi is so bloodthirsty for revenge that he tells his rebels to kill anyone who stands in their way. And finally, Killmonger enters the throne room with his new army. But just before things get bloody, Killmonger shocks everyone. He grabs Wakabi by the neck and says that people like Wakabi are the reason Wakanda is weak. He killed his own people, and his spite will destroy the nation. It's time to end the division in Wakanda. They must stand strong against their enemies. And then, Killmonger breaks Wakabi's neck and turns to the other rebels, challenging any who would stand in his way. When no one does, Killmonger makes his way to Ramonda.
Hey, Auntie.
He tells her that they can either kill each other now, or they can leave the past behind to protect Wakanda together. Ramonda says that she cannot stand to let Killmonger start a race war, but Killmonger says that he's done with all that. All he wants now is to protect his people. Ramonda doesn't trust Killmonger, but she's too smart to go against him right now. So she agrees to an alliance, but deep down, she is planning his downfall. M'Baku wants to challenge Killmonger, but Ramonda convinces him to stand down and wait for the right time to strike. And just like that, Killmonger rises to power. After establishing his reign and getting himself a new suit, Killmonger has every intention to go after Thanos. But in truth, he only wants the Infinity Stones for himself. But he doesn't get a chance to meet the Mad Titan. By the time he got the throne back, the Avengers already came back from space, informing the world that the stones were gone. Ever the opportunist, he sees that this failure paved the way for all of his plans to be achieved. Killmonger addresses the whole world from Wakanda. His speech targets both the establishment and the Avengers. Killmonger exploits the devastating reality of the snap. He turns people's fear and depression into his weapon. With Thanos dead, he gives the world someone else to point a finger at, a reason for why their loved ones are gone. He directs the world's anger at the Avengers. No one holds them accountable because they have all the power. He now holds the Avengers accountable, and he will make sure that the Avengers and the government no longer have power over the people.
And we give it back to you, the people.
Publicly, he offers aid, while in secret, he arms extremists and anarchists who cause chaos and riots. I mean, did you really think we were going to redeem this guy? No way. It's way more fun to keep him as a bad guy.
So say goodnight to the bad guy.
Killmonger is not a revolutionary. He's not a freedom fighter. For him, it's not really about liberating black people or anyone else who's oppressed, for that matter. He's motivated only by rage and revenge.
They'll arm oppressed people all over the world so they can finally rise up and kill those in power and their children and anyone else who takes their side.
Killmonger uses injustice of the oppressed to justify all of his actions. He has no plans to make the world a better place. He wants to take over, rule, and conquer, and then become an oppressor himself.
You want to see us become just like the people you hate so much. Divide and conquer the land state.
Now, I learned from my enemies. Beat them at their own game.
You have become them.
To solidify his rule, Killmonger breaks Zemo out of prison and bring him to Wakanda. Killmonger then holds a public execution, killing Zemo for all of Wakanda to see. Finally bringing justice to T'Chaka. Killmonger is avenging the death of the very man who killed his own father.
Ironic.
By executing Zemo, Killmonger sends a clear message to his people that he is a strong ruler who doesn't let his enemies escape justice, that he is willing to do what T'Challa couldn't.
It is textbook manipulation.
He starts giving the War Dogs some secret missions all around the world. In case you forgot, the War Dogs are basically Wakanda's CIA. And they infiltrate every institution in the world, giving Killmonger eyes and ears everywhere. Now, there are a few other secret things Killmonger does. One of them is a special project that we're going to reveal in just a bit.
A secret, deadly project.
Then he sets a trap for the US government. His people leaked info to the CIA, claiming that Ulysses Klaue had a secret stash of vibranium. Killmonger gloats about his plan to the Tribal Council, telling them that he will use this trap to show the world the true face of America. Ramonda tips off Everett Ross about this trap, so he asks for the remaining Avengers for help. Steve, Natasha, and Rhodey are the only ones that answer that call. They agree that Killmonger is becoming a huge threat, so he must be stopped. When the CIA's unit arrives at Claw's hideout, they're attacked by the War Dogs. But then Captain America, Black Widow, and War Machine show up to stop these War Dogs. Of course, this whole thing is...
It's a trap!
Killmonger is there. This was all part of his plan. He deliberately told the council about the trap, knowing that Ramonda and Okoye would betray him. So, the battle between the three Avengers and Killmonger starts. Killmonger and Steve fight one-on-one. The fight is epic, and while they're both very skilled, Steve gets the upper hand. But then, to everyone's shock, Killmonger uses his claws to split Captain America's shield in half.
But that's simply not possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not?
Now this might seem impossible, but Killmonger has a very special ace in the hole, which will be revealed soon. Using Steve's momentary confusion, Killmonger stabs him right in the heart. No! Yes, we just killed Captain America.
Deal with it.
There is one rule to a what-if story. It's not fun unless things go really dark and really wrong. Rhodey is about to unleash all of his firepower on Killmonger, but Natasha screams that they must retreat and live to fight another day. So they escape, leaving Killmonger standing over Steve's dead body. In the Avengers compound, the heroes are devastated. It's inconceivable to them that they just lost Steve like this. Natasha says that they must assemble, get Thor, call Carol, team up with Ramonda, and any of those who are still loyal to her in Wakanda. Now, though there's not many heroes left in the world after the snap, and the ones that are left are in a very dark place. Carol says she's too busy in a different galaxy dealing with some serious cosmic threats, so she's unavailable. Same goes for Rocket and Nebula. So it's left for the Earth-based heroes to deal with Killmonger.
This is where the fun begins.
When Killmonger flies back to Wakanda, he sees something very strange in the sky. A flying man who has wings on his feet. Namor has arrived.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
Killmonger and Namor meet, and at first they almost fight. But after they talk, they see that both of them want the same thing: protect their people, burn down the world, and rule the ashes. Remember that Talokan lost people in the snap as well, and that caused Namor to seek out a war with the surface world. But both of them plan to destroy each other in secret. Killmonger cannot allow anyone to have power over him, and Talokan is a direct threat to him. Now Namor knows that he cannot trust Killmonger, but he's counting on Wakanda to be weakened by the war with the world. Then he will strike and remove any threats to his people. Now while all of this happens, Thor is in New Asgard. Thor is depressed and bitter, and he's so drunk that he can't even stand. And that is when Killmonger attacks. He knows that Thor is one of the biggest threats to him on Earth, so he wants to eliminate him while the god is weak. Now of course, even drunk Thor is still very powerful, so you can't kill him easily. And he's also wielding a Titan-killing axe that can withstand the power of all 6 Infinity Stones. But Killmonger is fast and skilled, and somehow his armor takes more damage than it should. And it doesn't help that Thor is really drunk and out of shape. Killmonger keeps Thor busy, so the God of Thunder never sees Namor coming. Namor zeeps by and cuts off Thor's hand with his vibranium spear.
What?
I'm not really sure if vibranium can hurt Thor's godly skin, but his power levels are all over the place in the MCU, so let's go with it, it's fun. Stormbreaker falls down, and before Thor gets a chance to react, Namor grabs the axe and goes for the head.
Dead, Thor?
I told you, buddy, we ain't messing around here. So when Killmonger and Namor team up, people are going to die. Speaking of, Banner is in his lab working on a way to bring out Hulk safely before the coming battle. And of course, Killmonger shows up and attacks Banner while he's still not a threat. He injects him with liquefied vibranium, filling Bruce's whole body with the indestructible metal. And then Killmonger throws Bruce into the ocean, where Namor drags him into the deepest depths of the sea.
Louis Brazzi sleeps with the fishes.
Luca Brasi. Luca.
Whatever.
That's 3 Avengers eliminated. Now while Killmonger was away, Ramonda started an uprising in Wakanda, but there aren't many people left who support her. But this is all part of Killmonger's 4D chess game. He wanted Ramonda to make her stand. It's the final piece in his plan. Still, he needs to rush back to Wakanda, so he has no time to eliminate the other Avengers. Now once he gets back to his kingdom, the Wakanda Civil War begins. Okoye and M'Baku lead the charge against Killmonger's massive forces. They overwhelm Killmonger in battle, but something's off. Their attacks don't do as much damage, and it's like he's toying with them. Okoye tells him that he will pay for his crimes, but Killmonger laughs and tells her,
"Say hello to my little friend!"
On cue, Namor and the Talokan arrive and wreck everyone. Killmonger once again brings out his claws and stabs M'Baku right in the heart. Killmonger is about to kill Okoye too, but a portal opens up in front of him and Wong appears and he saves Okoye. #Wong to the rescue. Portals appear all over the battlefield and the Avengers with them, and they go to war against Killmonger's army. The heroes include Iron Man, Black Widow, Ronin, War Machine, Okoye, and a few remaining Wakandans, Wong and some sorcerers, Valkyrie and also some Asgardians, but they are very much outnumbered and outmatched by Killmonger and Namor's united armies. And Namor is wielding Stormbreaker now. He can't access the axe's full power, but it does just fine for chopping people in half.
Chop, 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 chop.
The Talokan are very powerful, but they cannot breathe oxygen. Tony uses that big brain of his and connects the dots quickly, telling the heroes to target the Talokan en masse. Now once they do that, the Talokan are forced to retreat back to the water. And of course, because he's Iron Man, Tony has a microwave emitter in his suit. It's basically like the one in Batman Begins, meaning it can vaporize water.
Convenient.
Tony uses it on Wakanda's rivers, turning them into steam, cutting off the Talokan's only way of breathing and leaving them to die like flopping fish. Seeing his people die makes Namor go insane. He smashes Stormbreaker into Tony and then flies with him at super speed directly into the ground. Tony Stark's body goes splat.
That was diabolical.
And just like that, Tony Stark is dead. That means that when Ant-Man comes back from the quantum realm, there will be no way to invent time travel and everybody's going to stay dusted. Now, while all of this is happening, Ramonda is in Shuri's lab and she's working with Wakanda's top scientist on something called shadow physics. It's a secret project T'Challa had Shuri work on before the snap. After Killmonger originally took over Wakanda, T'Challa decided that they needed a failsafe for vibranium in case it ever fell into the wrong hands. Enter shadow physics. This is something from the comics, but we're going to change it for this what if. So remember those sonic stabilizers from the first Black Panther movie? They turn off vibranium for just a little bit. Shadow physics is the evolution of that tech. It's basically a sonic stabilizer bomb. Shuri built one bomb like this, but with her being gone, it took another scientist some time to make it work. But now it's finally ready and Ramonda sends it like a missile to the battlefield. Once it goes off, it sends a sonic wave that disables all the vibranium in the blast zone. Now this changes everything because now Killmonger's army lost their weapons and armors. Okoye uses the confusion to charge Killmonger and she stabs him with a regular spear.
You did it!
But it doesn't work. The suit somehow stops the blade.
What a plot twist!
Now this shouldn't be possible. The vibranium was neutralized. Killmonger should be dead. But Killmonger has one last card up his sleeve. So remember Corvus Glaive from Infinity War. He had a spear that could cut through vibranium. Last time we saw that spear was in the Battle of Wakanda. Now we still don't know what that metal was made from, but it's probably the same alloy as Thanos' double-bladed sword, another weapon that destroyed vibranium. It might be Uru, but it's doubtful because Thanos and Corvus Glaive had their weapons before they visited Nidavellir.
Maybe it's adamantium.
Ooh, that's really cool. Adamantium is what Wolverine's claws are made out of, and it's actually the strongest metal in the comics, even more powerful than vibranium.
Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
Anyway, when Killmonger took the throne, he had his scientists reverse engineer the alien metal, and then they added it to Killmonger's armor, making it resilient to vibranium. So shadow physics now has no effect on his armor. So after Okoye fails to kill Killmonger, he slashes her throat with his claws and lets her bleed to death.
So dark.
And then very quickly, Killmonger and Namor overwhelm the heroes. Realizing they are lost, Wong opens a portal and the heroes retreat. But not all of them. Many are captured and some are killed. Killmonger has won, but there are countless dead, and the nation is now dealing with an ecological disaster after what Tony did. But this plays into Killmonger's hands. He uses this battle to fuel the anger of his people, turning them fully to the dark side. After the battle, he sends a message to the whole world. He declares that starting today, Wakanda is not a nation anymore, it's an empire. And moving forward, he will be addressed as Emperor N'Jaka. The world is now under his rule. The only nation that is free is Talokan. Everyone else better kneel before Wakanda or face the consequences. He then executes all the Wakandans that rose against him, including Ramonda. Killmonger says that Wakanda will go to the stars and find more weapons like the one Thanos had. And with such power, they will conquer the galaxy and rule the whole universe.
Empire!
But hope arrives with a message from space. Captain Marvel says that she heard about what happened in Wakanda and she's on her way back to help. But Killmonger got a new weapon, and that's Vision's body. He's planning on bringing the android back and reprogramming him to be his murder bot. In Talokan, Namor doubts if it's wise to let Killmonger have so much power. But Namor says that this is the way of the oppressors. They are addicted to power and conquest. Killmonger is a man who's at war with everyone, and he doesn't care about anyone. Someone like that is doomed to fail. His own people will betray him. His ambition will destroy him. And once that day arrives, Namor will drive Stormbreaker right into his heart, and then the Empire of Wakanda will become the Empire of Talokan. Now in Haiti, Nakia mourns the death of so many people she loved. The only thing that brings her hope is her son, T'Challa. She tells him that one day he will grow strong as his father, and then he will save everyone from Killmonger and bring peace and order to the world. And that is what would have happened if Killmonger would have survived.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Now, did T'Challa make a terrible mistake? Is it possible that he could have rehabilitated Killmonger if he survived the snap? Well, that's something we might explore in a future video, but for now, this is the end of this What If. Or is it? Somewhere deep in the bottom of the ocean, a monster wakes up and breaks its vibranium cage. Killmonger just awakened World War Hulk. Damn good coffee from Trade. Thanks again, Trade, for sponsoring our little video here, and click our link in the description to get $30 off your subscription today. So what do you guys think about this? What other what if stories do you want us to make? Let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Erik.